Ugh. Oh, come on, man. Come on. Come here. Ozzy. Ozzy. Give me a sec here. Come on. Come on. I'll be right back. Hey, Fire, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. Come on. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. Come here. Come on. Come on. Hell yeah. Come on. I just gotta get everything turned on, at least the book.
Here, though. There seems to be gardens behind all these houses, Ingtar said, looking around thoughtfully. If one of those alleys runs by a garden wall, sometimes men are so busy guarding their front, they neglect their back. Come. Headed straight for the nearest narrow passage between two of the tall houses. Huron and Matt trotted right after him. Rand exchanged looks
One of
with
these
Perrin.
guys got bad
His
gas.
curly-haired friend gave a resigned shrug, and they followed too. The alley was barely wider than their shoulders, but it ran between high garden
Hell
walls
yeah,
until
fire.
it crossed
That's
another alley
badass.
big enough for a push barrow or
Yeah,
small cart.
my baiting card didn't
Was
get
cobblestoned
hacked.
too, but only the backs of
and
buildings
I
looked
blew
down
like
on
$100.
it, shuttered windows and expanses of stone, and the high back walls of gardens overtopped by nearly leafless branches. Ingtar led them along that alley until they were opposite the waving banner. Taking his steel-backed gauntlets from under his coat, he put them on and leaped up to catch the top of the wall, then pulled himself up enough to peek over. Reported in a low monotone. Trees. Flower beds. Walks. There isn't a soul to be. Wait. A guard. One man. He isn't even wearing his helmet. Count to 50, then follow me. Swung a
See,
boot
that
to the top
helps.
of the wall and rolled inside, disappearing before Rand could say a word. Matt began to count slowly. Rand held his breath. Perrin fingered his axe, and Huron gripped the hilts of his weapons. 50. Huron scrambled up and over the wall before the word was well out of Matt's mouth. Perrin went right beside him. Rand thought Matt might need some help. He looked so pale and drawn, but he gave no sign of it as he scrambled up. The stone wall provided plenty of handholds, and moments later, Rand was crouched on the inside with Matt and Perrin and Huron. Garden was in the grip of
Let's
deep
hit a
autumn,
couple of this,
flower
'cause I
beds
already
empty
got a-
except for a few evergreen
I
shrubs,
got a couple rolled up
tree branches
already.
nearly bare. The wind that rippled the banner stirred dust across the flagstone walks. For a moment, Rand could not find Ingtar. Then he saw the Shinaran flat against the back wall of the
It's
house,
what my
motioning them on with
it's the
sword in
card my
hand.
disability comes on.
Rand
only
ran and
comes once
crouched,
a month.
more conscious of the windows blankly
somehow
peering down from the
it
house
got
than of his
hacked, I
friends
lost,
running
like,
beside him.
98
It was a
bucks
relief to press himself against
And
the
I
house
called-
beside Ingtar.
to let him know to
He kept muttering to himself.
The
It's in there. I can feel it.
the
Where's the
transaction.
guard? Rand whispered.
Spent almost
Dead,
2 hours on the
Ingtar
phone
said.
with them.
The man was overconfident.
Mainly on hold.
He never even tried to raise a cry. I hid his body under one of those bushes. Rand
And,
stared at him. The Sean Chan was overconfident. The
What
only
they
thing that
didn't
kept him
tell
from
me
going back right then was Matt's
was,
anguished murmurs.
when I did that,
We're almost there.
they pretty much
Ingtar sounded as if he were
froze
speaking
my
to himself,
card.
too.
they closed
Almost
that out.
there.
They closed the card
Come.
to where I couldn't even
Rand drew his
withdraw
sword as they started
my
up
money
the back
from it that I
steps.
needed to withdraw.
He was aware of Huron unlimbering his short-bladed
Yeah.
sword and notched sword breaker,
So I lost
and Perrin
a-
reluctantly
pretty much
drawing his axe
$100
from the loop of his belt.
They froze my card
Hallway inside
with all
was
my
narrow.
money on it for the
A
month.
half-open
that
door to their right
supposed to
smelled
go
like a
to
kitchen. Several
my
people were
part of
moving
rent
about in that room.
and bills.
There was an
that I wasn't able
indistinguishable
to
sound of voices, and
take out
occasionally
and
the soft clatter of a pot lid.
pay.
Ingtar motioned Matt to lead, and they
And,
crept by the door. Rand watched the narrowing opening
So when I
until
was
they were
talking
around
to
the
them,
next
they
corner.
told me about they froze it, so now
A slender young woman with
I gotta
dark
wait
hair came
for-
out of a door ahead of
and they
them,
charged me
carrying a tray
to
with one cup.
expedite
They
it.
all froze. She turned the other way
To,
without looking in their
I
direction.
guess get here sooner through UPS and
His
it'll
eyes
take me like a
widened.
week or so.
Her long white robe was all but transparent.
And they charged me
vanished
like
around
14
another
bucks
corner.
for that because they got shipped.
Did you see
they got
that?
expedited
Matt said
and
hoarsely. You can
shipped
see
it
right
out
through.
to me UPS.
Ingtar clapped a hand over Matt's mouth and whispered,
So until that
"Keep your
card
mind on
comes
why we are
in,
here. Now find it."
all my
Find
funds
the
on there
hard
minus the
Matt
100. They
pointed
got to
to
go
a
through the
narrow
whole
set of winding
process.
stairs. They climbed a flight, and he led them toward the front
I
of the
guess
house.
making sure that I'm not
The
lying to them
furnishings
or
in the
some
hallways
fucking
were
shit
sparse
like that.
and seemed all curves.
So that's pretty much put
Here
on
and
hold
there, a
till
tapestry
they
hung
can
on a
take up to
wall,
almost
or a
4
folding
months.
screen stood against it,
How
each
messed
painted
up
with a
is
few
that?
birds on branches or a flower or two.
But
A river flowed across one screen,
so to
but
pay my
aside from
to pay my
rippling
part
water
rent
and narrow strips of
get my-
riverbank,
some bills paid. I
the
gotta
rest
wait
of
for
it
my
was
card
blank.
to come in.
around
But
them,
yeah,
Rand
that-
could hear the sounds of
that would
people
hurt.
stirring, slippers scuffing on the floor, soft murmurs of speech.
That one kind of
He
sucks.
did not see anyone, but he could imagine it all too well.
I'm
Someone
hoping
stepping into the hall to see
might
five
not be
slinking men
some,
with
uh,
weapons in
a
their
lot to
hands,
some people,
shouting an
but-
alarm.
That's a lot to me. That's 98
In there.
bucks.
Matt whispered,
I only-
pointing to a
I-
big pair of
I-
sliding doors ahead. Carved
only
handholds, their only
Get
ornamentation.
my disability check
At least
once a
the
month.
dagger is. Ingtar
And
looked at
that's
Huron.
for
The sniffer
that
slid the
goes
doors
towards
open and Ingtar leaped
rent
through with his
bills,
sword ready.
and then my
There
extras
was no
like
one
my
there.
Hulu.
Rand and the
all
others
my,
hurried inside, and Huron
streaming
quickly
ones
closed
that
the
I
doors
watch,
behind
only
them.
Hulu and
Tinted screens
it's
hid all the
Hulu,
walls and
my
any other
PlayStation
doors,
Plus,
and veiled the light coming through
and my
windows
Audible.
that had to overlook the street.
what we're listening to now.
At one end of the big room stood a tall circular cabinet.
So
The other
luckily
was a
I
small
already have a
table.
good amount of
The
titles
lone
on my
chair on the
Audible.
carpet
That just
turned to face it.
means
Rand heard
yeah.
Ingtar gasp, but he only felt like heaving a sigh of relief.
I swear, man.
The curling golden horn of
Sometimes I
Valdir
don't
sat on a stand on the
if I don't
table.
have bad luck, I
Below
won't have
it,
no luck at all.
The ruby in the hilt of the ornate dagger caught the light.
I hope they can.
Matt darted to the table, snatching horn and dagger. "We have it," he crowed, shaking the dagger in his fist. "We have both of them." "Not so loud," Perrin said with a wince. "We don't have them out of here yet."
They said I
His
could do
hands were
something
busy
to
on the
where
haft of his axe.
they'll put
They
it
seemed to
on
want to be
there
holding
right
something
away.
else.
But I think I messed up that part. I didn't
One
think I
of
didn't push
Valdir.
the right button.
There was sheer
But-
awe in Ingtar's voice.
Or they find
He
out
touched the
that
horn
I'm
hesitantly,
at fault.
tracing a finger along
They'll
the silver
take
script
that money
inlaid
out of
around
my
the bell,
one of my
and
other
mouthing the
checks. So
translation. Then pulled his
I
hand
know I'm
back
not
with a
at
shiver of
fault
excitement.
for it.
"It is.
I
By
just
the
know
light
how
it
my
is.
luck is. I
I'm
don't want to
saved.
accept that. And then when
Perrin was
they
moving the screens that hid the
do
windows.
come to their
He
conclusion,
shoved the last one out of his
whether
way and
it's
peered
yay
into
or
the
nay,
street below.
if it's
Those soldiers
them
are
trying
all
to say
still
it's my
there,
fault,
looking like they took root.
I don't
He
want them
shuddered.
taking it off again
Those
and putting me in the
things,
same
too.
situation where I'm in now, where I'm
Rand went to join him.
like almost
The two
$100
beasts were
short.
grown. There was no denying it. Did they? As he lifted his eyes from the
That
street,
messes stuff
words
up.
died. He
Yeah,
was
this is
looking
the
over
other
a
one. This
wall
one
into
right
the
here
garden
is
of the big house across the
This
street.
one's Ozzy's sister.
He could see where further walls had been torn down, joining other gardens to it. Women sat on benches there or strolled along the walks, always in pairs. Women linked, neck to wrist, by silver leashes. One of the women with a collar around her neck looked up. He was too far to make out her face clearly, but for an instant it seemed that their eyes met, and he knew. The blood drained from his face. Egwene, he breathed. Talking about? Egwene is safe in Tarvalin. I wish I were. She's here, Rand said. The two women were turning, walking toward one of the buildings on the far side of the
man.
joined gardens. She is there, right across the street. All right, she's
One of
wearing one
y'all
of those
got some
collars.
gas, man.
Are you sure? Perrin said. He came to peer from the window. I don't see her, Rand, and I could recognize her if I did, even at this distance.
Hey, sorry,
I'm sure,
how you doing?
Rand said.
Hope
The
you're
two
doing
women
well.
disappeared into one of the
Yeah,
houses
it's,
that faced the next street
different
over.
scenery.
His stomach was
If you
twisted
watch
into a knot.
most of mine, you'll be able to tell.
She's supposed to be in the White Tower.
Okay, you
I
gotta
have
go.
to get her out. The rest of you.
That one's you.
So,
Oh
the
man.
soaring voice was as soft as the sound of the doors sliding in their tracks.
Mm.
You're
That
not
was a
who I
stinky dog there.
expected. For a brief moment,
Well, let
Rand
me,
stared. The tall man with the shaven head who had stepped into
I
the
gotta
room wore a
open
long
the doggy
trailing
door
blue
for
robe, and his fingernails were so long that Rand wondered if he could handle anything. The two men standing obsequiously behind him had only half their
come
dark
on.
hair shaved, the rest hanging in a dark braid down each man's right cheek. One of them cradled a sheathed sword in his arms. It was only a moment he had for staring. Then screens toppled to reveal, at either end of the room, a doorway crowded with 4 or 5 Shan-Chan soldiers,
Sit down.
bareheaded but armored, and swords in hand. Are in the presence of the High Lord Jurak, the man who carried the sword began, staring at Rand and the others angrily, but a brief motion of a finger with a blue lacquered nail cut him short. The other servant stepped forward with a bow and began undoing Jurak's robe. When one of my
Yeah,
guards
he fucking-
was found dead, the shaven-headed man said calmly, I
Just sitting
suspected
there all
the
of a
man who
sudden.
calls himself Fane.
It's okay.
I have been
It's
suspicious
okay.
of him
It's
since
okay.
Juan died so
Yeah.
mysteriously, and he has always wanted that dagger. He held out his arms for the servant to remove his robe. Despite his soft, almost singing voice, hard muscles roped his arms and smooth chest, which was bare to a blue sash holding wide white trousers that seemed made of hundreds of pleats. He sounded uninterested and indifferent
don't be
to the
that
blades
way.
in their hands. And
Come
now
on,
to
Nina.
find strangers with not only the dagger, but the horn. It will please me to kill 1 or 2 of you for disturbing my morning. Those who survive will tell me of who you
Ozzy
are
is here.
and why you came.
Behave, Ozzy.
He stretched out a hand without looking. The man with the scabbarded sword laid the hilt in the hand and drew the heavy curved blade. Would not have the horn damaged. Turok gave no other signal, but one of the soldiers stalked into the room and reached for the horn. Rand did not know whether he should laugh or not. The man wore armor, but his arrogant face seemed as oblivious to their weapons as Turok was. Matt put an end to it. As the Shan-Chan reached out his hand, Matt slashed it with the ruby-hilted dagger. With a curse, the soldier leaped back, looking surprised. And then he screamed. It chilled the room, held everyone where they stood in astonishment. The trembling hand he held up in front of his face was turning black. Darkness creeping from the bleeding gash that crossed his palm.
Right here's Lucy.
He opened his mouth wide and howled, clawing at his arm, then his shoulder. Kicking, jerking, he toppled to the floor, thrashing on the silken carpet, shrieking as his face grew black and his dark eyes bulged like overripe plums, until a dark, swollen tongue gagged him. He twisted, choking raggedly, heels drumming, and did not move again. Every bit of his exposed flesh was black as putrid pitch and looked ready to burst at a touch. Matt licked his lips and swallowed. His grip shifted uneasily on the dagger. Even Turok stared, open-mouthed. You see, Ingtar said softly, we are no easy meat. Suddenly he leaped over the corpse, toward the soldiers still goggling at what was left of the man who had stood at their shoulders only moments before. Awa! He cried. Follow me! Huron leaped after him, and the soldiers fell back before them, the sounds of steel on steel rising. The Shan-Chan at the other end of the room started forward as Ingtar moved, but then they were falling back too, before Matt's thrusting dagger, even more than from the axe Perrin swung with wordless snarls. In the space of heartbeats, Rand stood alone, facing Turok, who held his blade upright before him. The shock was gone. His eyes were sharp on Rand's face. The black and swollen body of one of his soldiers might as well not have existed. It did not seem to exist for the two servants either, any more than Rand and his sword existed, or the sounds of fighting, fading now from the rooms to either side out into the house. The servants had begun calmly folding Turok's robe as soon as the High Lord took his sword, and had not looked up even for the dead soldier's shrieks. Now they knelt beside the door and watched with impassive eyes. I suspected it might come to you and me. Turok spun his blade easily, a full circle one way, then the other, his long-nailed fingers moving delicately on the hilt. His fingernails did not seem to hamper him at all. You are young. Let us see what is required to earn the heron on this side of the ocean. Suddenly, Rand saw. Standing tall on Turok's blade was a heron. With the little training he had, he was face to face with a real blade master. Hastily, he tossed the fleece-lined cloak aside, ridding himself of weight and encumbrance. Turok waited. Rand desperately wanted to seek the void. It was plain he would need every shred of ability he could muster, and even then his chances of leaving the room alive would be small. He had to leave alive. Egwene was almost close enough for him to shout to her, and he had to free her somehow. But Saidin waited in the void. The thought made his heart leap with eagerness at the same time that it turned his stomach. But just as close as Egwene were those other women, Damani. He touched Saidin, and if he could not stop himself channeling, they would know, Theron had told him. Know and wonder. So many, so close. He might survive Turok only to die facing Damani, and he could not die before Egwene was free. Rand raised his blade. Turok glided toward him on silent feet. Blade rang on blade like hammer on anvil. From the first, it was clear to Rand that the man was testing him, pushing only hard enough to see what he could do, then pushing a little harder, then just a little harder still.
No.
It was quick wrists and quick feet that kept Rand alive as much as skill. Without the void, he was always half a heartbeat behind. The tip of Turok's heavy sword made a stinging trench just under his left eye. A flap of coat sleeve hung away from his shoulder, the darker for being wet. Under a neat slash beneath his right arm, precise as a tailor's cut, he could feel warm dampness spreading down his ribs. was disappointment on the High Lord's face. He stepped back with a gesture of disgust. Where did you find that blade, boy? Or do they here truly award the heron to those no more skilled than you? No matter. Make your peace. It is time to die. He came on again. The void enveloped Rand. Saidin flowed toward him, glowing with the promise of the one power, but he ignored it. It was no more difficult than ignoring a barbed thorn twisting in his flesh. He refused to be filled with the power, refused to be one with the male half of the true source. He was one with the sword in his hands, one with the floor beneath his feet.
Hey, Siegfried,
one
how
with the
you
walls,
doing, bro?
one with Turok.
Let me give you.
He recognized the forms the High Lord used. They were a little different from what he had been taught, but not
I
enough.
hope you're doing good, Siegfried.
The swallow takes flight meant parting the silk.
Yeah, it's a different
Moon on the
scenery
water
right now,
meant the wood
Siegfried,
grouse
because,
dances. Ribbon in the air meant stones falling from the
I'm
cliff.
at my
They
I'm
moved
at my
about the
mom's,
room as in a dance,
house
and their
in Dog
music
City.
was steel against steel. Disappointment and disgust faded from Turok's dark eyes, replaced by surprise, then concentration. Sweat appeared on the High Lord's
Hope you're
face
doing
as he
good,
pressed Rand
Siegfried.
harder. Lightning of 3 prongs meant leaf on the breeze. Rand's thoughts floated outside the void, apart from himself, hardly noticed. It was not enough. He faced a blade master, and with the void and every ounce of his skill, he was barely managing to hold his own. Barely. He had to end it before Turok finally did. Saidin? No. Sometimes it is necessary to sheathe the sword
Ain't
in
no
your own
problem.
flesh.
Well, you're at
But
my
that would not
brother's,
help
you
Egwene
have
either.
one, so you might as well have one
He
over
had to
here,
end it
too.
now. Now. Turok's eyes widened as Rand glided forward. So far, he had only defended. Now he attacked all out. The boar rushes down the mountain. Every movement of his blade was an attempt to reach the High Lord. Now all Turok could do was retreat and defend, down the length of the room, almost to the door. In an instant, while Turok still tried to face the boar, Rand charged. The river undercuts the bank. He dropped to one knee, blade slashing across. He did not need Turok's gasp or the feel of resistance to his cut to know. He heard 2 thumps and turned his head, knowing what he would see. Looked down the length of his blade, wet and red, to where the High Lord lay, sword tumbled from his limp hand, a dark dampness staining the birds woven in the carpet under his body. Turok's eyes were still open,
Hey,
but
Dink
already
Place,
filled
how you
with
doing,
death.
bro?
The void shook.
Just doing
He
a
had faced Trollocs before,
little
faced
gaming.
Shadowspawn. Never before had he confronted a human being with a sword except in practice or bluff. I just killed a man. Void shook, and Saidin tried to fill him. Desperately, he clawed free, breathing hard as he looked around. He gave a start when he saw the 2 servants still kneeling beside the door. He had forgotten them, and now he did not know what to do about them. Neither man appeared armed, yet all they had to do was shout. They never looked at him, or at each other. Instead, they stared
hell
silently at the
yeah,
High Lord's
appreciate
body.
it, Siegfried.
They produced daggers from under their robes, and he tightened his grip on the
No,
sword, but each
he's
man
not here.
placed the point to his own breast.
He's at the house, which
From birth
is not
to
very
death,
far from
they intoned in unison.
where I am.
I serve the blood, and plunged the
'Cause we don't
daggers
live,
into their own hearts.
We don't live too
They
far away
folded
from
forward
where our
almost
mom lives,
peacefully,
so
heads to the floor
you
as
can
if
walk
bowing
it,
deeply
but
to
it'd
their
be
lord.
like a
Rand stared at them in
probably like a
disbelief.
30-minute walk or so,
Mad, he thought. Maybe I will go mad,
depending on your
but they already
pace.
were. He was getting to his feet shakily when Ingtar and the others came running back. They all bore nicks and cuts. The leather of Ingtar's coat was stained in more than one place. Matt still had the horn in his dagger, its blade darker than the ruby in its hilt.
Hey,
Aaron's
Cat
axe
Eyes, how
was
you
red
doing?
too, and he looked as if he might be sick at any
Georgie.
moment.
Come here, Georgie.
Get with them, Ingtar said, looking at the bodies.
Oh,
Then we're
hey,
done.
this one,
If
Cat
no
Eyes.
alarm is given, those fools never
There's
cried for
this
help, not
one.
once.
Uh,
I will see if the guards heard
this
anything,
one,
Huron said, and darted for the
this
window.
one,
Matt
and
shook his
then this
head.
one right here
Rand, these
is
people are crazy.
Ozzy's sister.
I know I've said that before, but these people really are. Those servants... Rand held his breath, wondering if they had all killed themselves. Said, whenever they saw us fighting, they fell on their knees, put their faces to the floor, and wrapped their arms around their heads. They never moved
Yeah,
or
but
cried
all
out.
these three
Never
right
tried to
here
help the soldiers
are
or give an alarm.
poodles.
They're still there
Or
as far as I know.
Toy poodles.
Not counting
And
them
George
staying on
right
their knees,
here is,
Ingtar said dryly. We are
a
leaving now,
Maltese
as fast as we can
poodle.
run. You go, Rand said. Egwene, you fool, Ingtar
Hell
said.
yeah.
We have what we came for, the Horn of Valir. The hope of salvation.
And Ozzy's down here too.
What can one
He's
girl
just-
count, even if you love her,
he has a lot
alongside
more
the Horn
toys
and
to
what it
play with
stands
over
for?
here.
The Dark One can have the Horn for all I care. What does finding the Horn count if I abandon Egwene to this? If I did that, the Horn couldn't save me. The Creator couldn't save me. I would damn myself. Ingtar stared at him, his face unreadable.
Oh,
You mean that exactly,
he
don't
almost
you?
made me spit that one up. He fucking went right on my
Things happening
stomach
out
when I was
there.
taking that drink.
Huron said urgently. A man just came running up, and they're all milling like fish in a bucket. Wait. The officer is coming inside. Go, Ingtar said. He tried to take the horn, but Matt was already running. Rand hesitated,
I
but
haven't
Ingtar
seen
grabbed
yet.
his arm and pulled him into the
Hey,
hall.
505, how you doing?
The others were streaming after Matt. Perrin only
Good to
gave
see
Rand
everyone.
one pained look before he went. You cannot save the girl if you stand here and die. He ran with them. Part of him hated himself for running,
me, it's,
but another part whispered,
It's 10:39 for
come
me.
back.
We're hour
I'll free
ahead
you
of you,
somehow.
cat.
the time they reached the bottom of the narrow, winding staircase, he could hear a man's deep voice raised in the front part of the house, angrily demanding that someone stand up and speak. A serving girl in a nearly transparent robe knelt at the bottom of the stairs, and a gray-haired woman, all in white wool, in a long, flowery apron, knelt by the kitchen door. They were both exactly as Matt had described, faces to the floor, and arms wrapped around their heads, and they did not stir a hair as Rand and the others hurried by. He was relieved to see the motions of breathing. Crossed the garden at a dead run, climbing over the back wall rapidly. Ingtar cursed when Matt tossed the Horn of Valir ahead of him, and tried again to take it when he dropped outside, but Matt snatched it up with a quick, "It isn't even scratched," and scampered up the alley. More shouts rose from the house they had just left. A woman screamed, and someone began tolling a gong. I will come back for her, somehow. Rand sped after the others as fast as he could.
Chapter 46. To come out of the shadow. Nynaeve and the others heard distant shouts as they approached the buildings where the Damani were housed. The crowds were beginning to pick up, and there was a nervousness to the people in the street, an extra quickness to their step, an extra wariness in the way they glanced past Nynaeve in
Hell
her
yeah.
lightning-paneled
I'm
dress,
smoking
and the
some
woman she held
platinum
by a
garlic.
silver leash. Shifting her bundle nervously, Elaine peered toward the noise of shouts one street over, where the
Luckily,
Golden Hawk,
I
clutching
still
lightning,
had some
rippled in the wind.
because
What is
my,
happening? Nothing to
my,
do with us, Nynaeve
my
said
bait
firmly.
card that my
You
disability
hope,
comes
Min
out
added.
got
And
hacked
so do
and
I.
end up losing like
She increased her
$100
pace,
and
hurrying up
they
the
froze
steps
my
ahead of the
account.
others, and disappeared inside the tall
I hope
stone
you and
house.
Pan are doing good. Cat
Nynaeve
eyes.
shortened her grip on the
Yeah, but I
leash.
ended up losing
Remember, Sita,
90, like
You want
98
us
bucks.
to make it through this safely
They
as
froze
much
my
as we
account.
do. I do, the
And
Shan-Chan
now,
woman said
I
fervently.
gotta wait for my
She
new
kept her
card to
chin
come
on her
in
chest to hide her face.
to be able to
I will cause you no trouble, I
take
swear.
money out so I can pay bills and
They turned
rent.
up the gray stone steps.
end up
A
losing
Suldam and a Damani appeared at the head of the
98
stairs,
my
coming down as they went up.
Stuff got hacked.
After one glance to make sure the woman in the collar was not
Was
Egwene,
messed up.
Nynaeve did not look at them again. She used the
Hell yeah,
Idam
just
to
chilling,
keep
Dabby.
Sita close by her side,
most I got
so
for
if the
dabs now,
Damani
since I
sensed
wasn't
the
able to
ability
get
to
nothing,
channel in one of them,
is,
she would think it was Sita.
A dab
She
pin, I'm
felt
down
sweat
to like
trickling down her spine,
about
though,
that much.
until she realized
Pretty
they
much
were
almost
paying her
gone.
no more attention than she gave them. All they saw was a dress with lightning panels and a gray dress, the women wearing them linked by the silver length of an Idam. Just another leash holder
Yeah,
with a
definitely good
leashed
to see
one,
everyone
and a
here
local
tonight.
girl hurrying along
I think
behind
this is the
with a
most
bundle
I've
belonging to the
had in
Suldam.
my life at night.
Nynaeve pushed open the door and they went in. Whatever the excitement beneath Turak's banner, it did not extend here, not yet.
I was on my
There were
brother's
only
live
women
earlier-
moving about in the
earlier
entry hall,
today,
all
he was
easily
doing a
placed
live
by
of,
their dress.
007.
3 gray-dressed Damani with Suldam wearing the bracelets. 2 women in dresses paneled with forked lightning stood talking, and 3 crossed the hall alone. 4
Yeah, it
dressed like
sucks,
men in
'cause
plain dark woolens hurried on their
my
way with
only
trays.
funds that I get is
Men stood waiting down the entry hall when
my
they went in.
disability
She
check
glanced
and
at them
that I
once,
get on the
then started deeper
at
into
the
the
beginning of
house.
the month, and that's all I
Nynaeve
have
guided
for
Sita down the hall
whole
after
month,
men, with
unless
Elaine
I happen
scurrying
to
along in their
be able to
wake.
pick up some
No one gave them a second glance
jobs
that
paying
seemed to
cash,
Nynaeve, but she thought the
with the
trickle
way
of
the
sweat down her
condition my
backbone might
body's
become
in,
a river
with
soon.
my back and everything else.
She kept Sita moving
there's not
quickly,
much jobs
so
I
no
can
one would
do.
have a chance for a good look, or worse, a question. With her eyes fixed on her toes, Sita needed so little urging that Nynaeve thought she
yeah,
would have
that
been
was-
running, if not for the physical
Yeah, that was,
restraint of the leash. Near the back of the house,
was some
men took
shit
a
that I
narrow
had to deal
stairs
with.
that spiraled upwards. Nynaeve pushed Sita up it ahead of her, all the way to the 4th floor.
Now when I called
The
my,
ceilings were low there, the
my
halls
customer
empty
service
and
thing on
silent, except for
my
the
card
soft
that I
sounds
get
of
my
weeping.
disability check in, 'cause I
Weeping
don't have a
seemed to
bank
fit
account.
the air of the chilly halls.
I could get one,
This
but
place, Elaine
that card
began,
provides me
then shook
that
her head.
if I don't,
It
they'll
feels...
provide me with a little card
Yes, it does,
that they put my
Nynaeve said
disability
grimly.
on. That way I
She
don't have
glared
to go
at
get
Sita,
a bank
who
account.
kept her face down.
But
A pallor of fear made the Shan-Chan
Yeah.
woman's skin paler than it was
that
normally.
happened. I called them.
Wordlessly,
spent
men
almost
opened the
2
door and
hours on
went
the damn
in,
phone
and they followed.
with
The room
total
beyond
talk
had
time
been
maybe
divided
like
into smaller
10,
rooms by
15
roughly
minutes.
made wooden walls with
I
a
talked to
narrow
one
hallway
person,
running to a window. Nynaeve crowded
told them what
after men
happened.
as she hurried to the last
They
door on the
transferred
right
me.
and pushed in.
And I went to the other one.
A slender, dark-haired girl
I
in
stayed
gray
on
sat
hold
at the
for
small table with her head resting
an
on folded
hour and
arms.
45
But even
fucking
before she
minutes.
looked up, Nynaeve knew it was Egwene. A ribbon of shining metal ran from the silver collar around Egwene's neck to a
Or just
bracelet
tell me
hanging on a
that
peg on the wall. Her eyes
they're
widened
gonna
at the sight of them,
investigate it and
her
whatnot,
mouth
and they can
working
take up to
silently. As Elaine
30
closed the
days
door,
to 4
Egwene
months.
gave a sudden
A
giggle
month to 4
and
months.
pressed her hands to her mouth to stifle it. The tiny room was more than crowded, with all of them in it. "I know I'm not dreaming," she said in a quivering
Hell
voice.
yeah.
"Because
you
if I
say
was
that.
dreaming, you'd be Rand and
That's a
Galad
nice
on
little
tall
score.
stallions. I
Ozzy.
have been dreaming. I thought Rand was here. I couldn't see him, but I
Yeah,
thought..." Her voice trailed off.
yeah, and
"If you'd rather wait for
I
them,"
know it's
Min
probably
said
not a lot of
dryly.
money, just
Oh,
two people,
no.
some people,
"No,
but
you are all beautiful.
$98,
The most
that's a
beautiful
lot of money
thing
to
I've
me.
ever seen.
considering
Where
I
did you
only
come
get
from? How did
a
you do
check
it?
once a month.
That dress, Nynaeve, and the Idam, and who is..." She gave an abrupt squeak.
Come on. Here we go, Cat.
Sita!
He came
How-
to say hi to
Her
you.
voice hardened so that Nynaeve barely recognized it.
Come on, buddy.
"I'd like to put her in
You
a
gotta get
pot
off.
of boiling
Oh,
water."
There you go.
Sita had her eyes squeezed shut, and her hands clutched her skirts. She was trembling. "What have they done to you?" Elaine exclaimed. "What could they do to make you want something like that?" Egwene never took her eyes off the
There's 3
Shan-Chan woman.
Dodgers. One
"I'd
right
like
here.
to make her feel it. That's what she
This
did to
one's
me.
Luna.
Made me feel like I was neck deep
This one
in..."
right here is
She shuddered.
Georgie.
"You do not know
And that-
what it is like
Ugh.
wearing one of these, Elaine. You
This
don't
one right
know
here
what
is
they can
Lucy.
do to you.
And
I
then
can never decide
the
whether
other
Sita is
one,
worse than Rena,
that's,
but they're all
I'm
hateful."
watching too is
"I
Ozzy's
think
sister,
I know,"
and she just went
Nynaeve said quietly.
back to the room.
She could feel the sweat soaking Sita's skin, the cold tremors that shook her limbs. The yellow-haired Shan-Chan was terrified.
Oh damn,
It was all
Siffy,
she
that
could
sounds
do
fucking
not to
good
make
as
Sita's
fuck.
terrors come true then
Can't
and
go
there.
wrong with the meatloaf.
"Can you take this off of me?"
My
Egwene
brother's
asked,
done that before.
touching the
That's
collar.
what my brother does with
"You
his
must
meatloaf.
be able
he,
to if you could put that one on."
he gets
Nynaeve
fresh
channeled a
jalapenos.
pinpoint trickle.
He
The
dices
collar on
them up
Egwene's neck provided
mixes them
anger
up with
enough,
the-
and if it had not,
with the meat to
Sita's
make the
fear,
loaf.
the knowledge of how deserved
And we have
it truly
one time
was,
before,
and her own knowledge of what she
got some
wanted to do to the
bacon,
woman would have done it.
chopped it
The
up, but
collar
we
sprang open and fell away
we
from
kinda got it
Egwene's
all
throat. With an
cooked
expression
nice
of
and
wonder,
crispy.
Egwene touched her neck.
chopped it up.
"Put on my dress and
and
coat," Nynaeve told her.
Well, not so
Elaine
like,
was already unbundling the
somewhat
clothes
crispy,
on the bed.
but not too
"We
much.
will walk out of
Just
here
'cause
and
it's
no
gonna
one
cook
will
back-
even
it's
notice
gonna
you."
cook in the,
She
in the
considered
meatloaf.
holding her contact
Well,
with
you got that,
Saidar.
chopped it
She was
up,
certainly angry enough,
and
and
then
it felt
got
so
fresh
wonderful,
jalapenos, chopped them
but
up and threw them
reluctantly
in
she
there.
let it go. This was the one place in Falma where there was no chance of a Soldam and Damani coming to
Yeah, they
investigate if
definitely,
they sensed someone channeling. But
There's
they
4
would
dogs
certainly
up
do
here.
so if a Damani saw a woman she thought was a Soldam with the glow of channeling around her. "I don't know why you aren't gone already. Alone here, even if you could not figure out how to get that thing off you, you could have just picked it up and run. As Min and Elaine hurriedly helped her change into Nynaeve's old dress,
George right
Egwene
here is
explained
somewhat
about moving the
lame,
bracelet from where a
Luna
Sul'dam
over
left
here,
it,
this
and
one.
how channeling made her sick unless a
His
Sul'dam
back
wore the
is
bracelet.
laying on.
Just that morning,
Oh,
she had
pretty much half
discovered
of
how
her.
the collar could be opened without the power,
And then this one,
and
she
found
just
that
all the way
touching the
back here by
catch with the
herself.
intention of opening it
And,
made her hand
Ozzy's
not
just
into
right here.
uselessness. She could touch it as much as she wanted so long as she did not think of undoing the catch. The merest hint of that, though, and Nynaeve felt sick herself.
I haven't had it.
The bracelet on her wrist made her sick. It was too horrible. She wanted it off her wrist before she learned
I like
more
green
about
chili and
Idam,
all, but
before she perhaps learned something that would make her
I'm
feel
not sure
soiled
that
forever
how
for
it
having
would
worn
be
it.
mixed
Unfastening the
with the meatloaf.
silver cuff, she pulled it loose, snapped
I'll
it
try it,
closed,
but
and hung
I
it
don't
on
know.
one of the pegs.
I'm a little picky
Don't
on what I
think
put
that
green
means you
chili
can
on or
shout
what
for
I like
help
green
now.
chili on.
She shook a fist under Sita's nose.
The
I can
jalapeno,
still
the
make
fresh
you wish
jalapenos
you were
diced
never
up in there
born
was
if you
really
open your
good.
mouth, and I do not need that bloody thing. You do not mean to leave
But I
me
know
here
my
with
brother's made a
Sita
couple
said in a
times,
whisper.
but
You
he's
cannot
made some
tie me, gag
homemade
me so I
green
cannot give an
chili,
alarm.
enchiladas.
Please. Egwene
But-
gave a mirthless laugh.
Damn, Georgie, really?
Leave it on her.
Again?
She won't call for help even without a gag. You had better
How
hope
you
whoever
still seem
finds
like
you
that,
will remove
Ozzy?
the Idam and
Or he
keep
just
your little
knocked you out?
secret, Sita. Your
Yep, it's
dirty
definitely
secret.
Georgie that has the gas.
What are you talking about? Elaine said.
Oh,
I have thought about it a great deal,
yeah, could we
Egwene
do them in
said.
like a casserole
Thinking was
style?
all I could do when they
We'll
left
put,
me
like,
alone
put
up
in,
here.
like layers.
Sul'dam claim
Well,
they
not
develop
me,
an
but
affinity
my
after a
brother
few
does.
years. Most of them can tell when a woman is channeling whether they're leashed to her or not.
Hey,
I wasn't sure,
Georgie,
but
what'd
Sita
you eat,
proves
bro?
it. Proves what? Elaine demanded.
And then here's
And then her eyes widened in sudden realization, but Egwene
at
went
least
on.
for us around here in
Nynaeve,
New
Idam
Mexico,
only work on women
our
who can
area,
channel. Don't you
it's that
see?
time of year to where
Sul'dam can channel the
they
same
could
as
be roasting
Damani.
green chili.
Sita groaned through her teeth, shaking her head in violent denial. A Sul'dam would die before admitting she could channel, even if she knew, and they never trained the ability, so they cannot do anything with it, but they can channel. I told you, Min said. That collar shouldn't have worked on her. She was doing up the last buttons down Egwene's back.
Ozzy!
Any woman who couldn't channel would be able to be too silly while you tried to control her with it.
Ozzy!
How can that be? Nynaeve said. I thought
Zoe!
the Shan Chan put leashes on any woman who can channel.
Let me
All
go.
of those they find, Egwene told her. But those they can find are like you
What is
and
your
me
problem?
and Elaine.
It is too late for
We
you to
were
be
born
working
with
out
it,
there.
ready to channel whether anyone taught us or not.
Yeah, here's
But what
Ozzy's
about
sister
Shan
right
Chan
here.
girls who aren't born with the ability but who could be taught? Not just any woman can become a leash holder. Rena thought she was being friendly, telling me about it. It is apparently a feast day in Shan Chan villages when the Sul'dam come to test the girls. They want to find any like you and me and leash them, but they let all the others put on a bracelet to see if they can feel what the poor woman in the collar feels. Those who can are taken away to be trained as Sul'dam. They are the women who could be taught. Sita was moaning under her breath. No, 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 over and over again. I know she is horrible, Elaine said.
You two behave.
But I feel as if I should help her somehow. She could be one of our sisters. Only the Shan Chan have twisted it all. Nynaeve opened her mouth to say they had better
Thinks she
worry
is.
about helping themselves.
Yeah.
And the door opened.
Gotta get on
What
here a
is
couple
going on
times.
here?
Zoe?
Rena demanded, stepping into the room. An audience? She stared
You
at
have to eventually close
Nynaeve,
that doggy
hands
door.
on
It's
hips.
already too late for him to be going
I
out
never
there.
gave permission for anyone else to link with my pet, Tuli. I do not even know who you... Her eyes fell
Yeah,
on
be,
Egwene.
I don't know
Egwene
if I
wearing
wanted one of those
Nynaeve's
killing
dress
on me like
instead of
that, like
Damani
this.
Gray.
Might be a little,
Egwene with no collar
little
around
too
her throat,
much.
and her eyes grew as big as saucers.
Give me one
She never
second.
had a chance to yell. Before anyone else could move, Egwene snatched the pitcher from her washstand and smashed it into Rena's midriff. The
Give me
pitcher
1 second,
shattered,
I'll be right
and
back.
the Sul'dam lost all her breath in a gurgling gasp and doubled over. As she fell, Egwene leaped on her with a snarl, shoving her flat, grabbing for the collar she had worn where it still lay on the floor, snapping it around the other woman's neck. With one jerk on the silver leash, Egwene pulled the bracelet from the peg and fitted it to her own wrist. Her lips were pulled back from her teeth, her eyes fixed on Renna's face with a terrible concentration. Kneeling on the Suldam's shoulders, she pressed both hands over the woman's mouth. Renna gave a tremendous convulsion, and her eyes bulged in her face. Hoarse sounds came from her throat, screams held back by Egwene's hands. Her heels drummed on the floor. "Stop it, Egwene!" Nynaeve grabbed Egwene's shoulder, pulling her off of the other woman. "Egwene, stop it! That isn't what you want!" Renna lay gray-faced and panting, staring wildly at the ceiling. Suddenly, Egwene threw herself against Nynaeve, sobbing raggedly at her breast. "She hurt me, Nynaeve! She hurt me! They all did! They hurt me until I did what they wanted. I hate them! I hate them for hurting me! And I hate them because I couldn't stop them from making me do what they wanted!" "I know," Nynaeve said gently. She smoothed Egwene's hair. "It is all right to hate them, Egwene. It is. They deserve it. But it isn't all right to let them make you like they are." Sita's hands were pressed to her face. Renna touched the collar at her throat disbelievingly with a shaking hand. Egwene straightened, brushing her tears away quickly. I am not like them." She almost clawed the bracelet off of her wrist and threw it down. "I'm not. But I wish I could kill them." "Deserve it." Min was staring grimly at the two Suldam. "Rand would kill someone who did a thing like that," Elaine said. She seemed to be steeling herself. "I am sure he would." "Perhaps they do," Nynaeve said. "And perhaps he would. Men often mistake revenge and killing for justice.
Yeah.
They seldom have the stomach for justice."
Oh,
She had
that's
often
crazy.
sat in judgment with
That's
the
some
women's
big
circle.
dogs.
Sometimes men came before them, thinking women might give them a better hearing than the men of the village council, but men always thought they could sway the decision with eloquence or pleas for mercy. The women's circle
go.
gave mercy where it was deserved,
doggy
but
door.
justice always, and it was the
Since it's
wisdom
already
who
late
pronounced
for 'em.
it. She picked up
Come
the
on.
bracelet Egwene had discarded and closed it. "I would free every woman here if I could,
Okay, stop.
and destroy every last one of these. Since I cannot," she slipped the bracelet over the same peg that held the other one, then addressed herself to the Suldam. "Not leash holders any longer," she told herself.
You know what? You're not coming up here, Jordan.
"Perhaps, if you are very quiet, you'll be left alone here long enough to manage to remove the collars. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills, and it may be that you've done enough good to counterbalance the evil
Y'all
you have
behave.
done, enough that you will be allowed to remove them. If not, you will be found eventually. And I think whoever finds you will
Hell
ask
yeah,
a
that's
great
good
many
ones to
questions
have.
before they remove those collars. I think perhaps you will learn at first hand the life you have given to other women. That is justice," she added to the others. Renna wore a fixed stare of horror. Sita's shoulders shook as she sobbed into her hands.
Hey, behave.
Nynaeve hardened her heart. It is justice, she told herself. It is, and herded the others out of the room. No one paid any more attention to them going out than they had coming in. Nynaeve supposed she had the Suldam dress to thank for that, but she could not wait to change into something else. Anything else. The dirtiest rag would feel cleaner on her skin. The girls were silent,
Hell yeah.
walking close behind
the
her
way to
until they
have
were
'em.
out on the cobblestone street again. She did not know if it was what she had done or the fear that someone might stop them. She scowled. Would they have felt better
Come
if
on.
she had let them work themselves
Come on,
up to
Luna.
cutting the women's throats? "Horses," Egwene said. "We
Stop.
will need horses. I know the stable where they took Bella, but I don't think we can get to her." "We have to leave Bella here," Nynaeve told her. "We are leaving by ship." "Where is everybody?" Min said, and suddenly Nynaeve realized the street was empty. Crowds were gone, not a sign of them to be seen. Every shop and window along the street were shuttered tight. But up the street from the harbor came a formation of Shan Chan soldiers, 100 or more in ordered ranks, with an officer at their head in his painted armor. They were still halfway down the street from the women, but they marched with a grim, implacable step, and it seemed to Nynaeve that every eye was fixed on her. That's ridiculous. I can't see their eyes inside those helmets, and if anybody had given an alarm, it would be behind us. She stopped anyway. There are more behind us, Min murmured. Nynaeve could hear those boots now. I don't know which will reach us first. Nynaeve took a deep breath. They are nothing to do with us. She looked beyond the approaching soldiers to the harbor, filled with tall, boxy Shan-Chan ships. She could not make out spray. She prayed it was still there and ready. We will walk right past them. Light, I hope we can. What if they want you to join them, Nynaeve? Elaine asked. You are wearing that dress. If they start asking questions, I will not go back, Egwene said grimly. I'll die first. Let me show them what they've taught me. To Nynaeve's eye, a golden nimbus suddenly seemed to surround her.
Oh yeah, but you got
No,
them
she
king
said,
size. You
but
got
it was
them good
too late.
ones.
With a roar like thunder, the street under the first ranks of Shan-Chan erupted, dirt and cobblestones and armored men thrown aside like spray from a fountain. Still glowing, Egwene spun to stare up the street, and the thunderous roar was repeated. Dirt rained down on the women. Shouting Shan-Chan soldiers scattered in good order to shelter in alleys and behind stoops. In moments they were all out of sight, except for those who lay around the two large holes marring the street. Some of those stirred feebly, and moans drifted along the street.
Come on.
Nynaeve threw up her hands, trying to look in both directions at once. You fool! We are trying not to attract attention. There was no hope of that now.
There you go.
She only hoped they could manage to work their way around the soldiers to the harbor through the alleys. The Damani must know
Now
too
they're all
now.
up here.
They could not have missed that. I won't go back to that collar, Egwene said fiercely. I won't!
Hey,
Look
John
out!
McDonald, how you
Min
doing, bro?
shouted. With a shrill whine, a fireball
Yeah.
as big as a horse
House
arched
City
into the
and
air over the
Dog
rooftops
City.
and began to fall,
Oh.
directly toward them. Run! Nynaeve shouted, and threw herself into
I
a
got
dive toward the
5
nearest
dogs on me
alleyway
right now.
between two shuttered shops. She landed
My Aussie
awkwardly
right
on her
here.
stomach with a grunt, losing half
This
her
one
breath
right
as the
here
fireball struck. Hot wind
is,
washed over her down the
Ozzy's
narrow
sister.
passage. Gulping air,
And
she
then we
rolled
got
onto her back
Georgie,
and stared
Luna,
back into the
Lucy.
street.
And 3 poodles
The
right
cobblestones where they had been standing were chipped and cracked
Stop.
and blackened in a circle
Stop.
10 paces across. Elaine was crouched just inside another alley on the other side of the street. Of Min and Egwene there was no sign. Nynaeve clapped a hand to her mouth in horror. Elaine seemed to understand what she was thinking. The daughter heir shook her head violently and pointed down the street. They had gone that way. Nynaeve heaved a sigh of relief that immediately turned to a growl. Fool girl. We could have gotten by them. There was no time for recriminations, though. She scooted to the corner and peered cautiously around the edge of the building. A head-sized fireball flashed down the street toward her. She leaped back just before it exploded against the corner where her own head had been, showering her with stone chips. Anger had her awash in the One Power before she was aware of it. Lightning flashed out of the sky, striking somewhere up the street with a crash near the origin of the
Yeah,
fireball.
for,
Another jagged
these
bolt
four
split
is
the
kinda
sky,
late for 'em
and then
right
she
now.
was running down the alley. Behind her,
They're
lightning
not
lanced
used
the
to,
mouth of the alley.
Late nights.
If Domon doesn't have that ship waiting, I'll... Light, let us all reach it safely.
Il Doman jerked erect as lightning streaked across the slate-gray sky, striking somewhere in the town. Then again. There do not be enough clouds for that. Something rumbled loudly up in the town, and a ball of fire smashed into a rooftop just above the
5
docks,
dog night.
throwing splintered slates in wide arcs. The docks had emptied themselves of people a
There's
while back, except for a few
3
Shan-Chan.
poodles.
They ran
There.
wildly now, drawing swords and
Zoe
shouting.
Ozzy.
A man appeared from one of the warehouses with a Grom at his side, running to keep up with the beast's
brother
long
and
leaps
sister.
as they vanished into one of the streets leading up from the water. Doman's crewman jumped for an axe and swung it high over a mooring cable. In 2 strides, Doman seized the upraised axe with one hand and the man's throat with the other. "Spray do stay till I do say sail, Edwin Cole." "They're gone mad, Captain," Yaren shouted. An explosion sent echoes rumbling across the harbor. sending the gulls into screaming circles, and lightning flickered again, crashing to earth inside Falma. "The Damani will kill us all. Let us go while they're busy killing one another. They'll never notice us till we are gone." "I did give my word," Doman said. Wrenched the axe from Cole's hand and threw it clattering onto the deck. "I did give my word." "Hurry, woman," he thought. "Aes Sedai or whatever you be. Hurry." From Bornhold eyed the lightning flashing over Falma and dismissed it from his mind. Some huge flying creature, one of the Shan-Chan monsters no doubt, flew wildly to escape the bolts. If there was a storm, it would hinder the Shan-Chan as much as it did him. Nearly treeless hills, a few topped by sparse thickets, still hid the town from him and him from it. His 1,000 men lay spread out to either side of him, one long mounted rank rippling along the hollows between hills. The cold wind tossed their white cloaks and flapped the banner at Bornhold's side, the wavy-rayed golden sun of the Children of the Light.
Then we'll start round.
"Oh, now, Bayer," he commanded. The gaunt-faced man hesitated, and Bornhold put a snap into his voice. "I said go, Tal Bayer." Bayer touched hand to heart and bowed. "As you command, my lord captain." Turned his horse away, every line of him showing reluctance. Bornhold put Bayer out of his mind. He had done what he could there. He raised his voice. "The Legion will advance at a walk." Creak of saddles, the long line of white-cloaked men moved slowly toward Falma. And peered around the corner at the approaching Shan-Chan, then ducked back into the narrow alley between two stables with a grimace. They would be there soon. There was blood crusted on his cheek. The cuts he had from Turok burned, but there was nothing to be done for them now. Lightning flashed across the sky again. He felt the rumble of its plummet through his boots. What in the name of the light is happening? "Close," Ingtar said. "The Horn of Elia must be saved, Rand." Despite the Shan-Chan, despite the lightning and strange explosions down in the town proper, he seemed preoccupied with his own thoughts. Matt and Perrin and Huron were down at the other end of the alley, watching another Shan-Chan patrol. The place where they had left the horses was closed now, if they could only reach it. "He's in trouble," Rand muttered. Egwene. There was an odd feeling in his head, as if pieces of his life were in danger. Egwene was one piece, one thread of the cord that made his life, but there were others, and he could feel them threatened. Down there in Falma. And if any of those threads was destroyed, his life would never be complete the way it was meant to be. He did not understand it, but the feeling was sure and certain. "A man could hold 50 here," Ingtar said. The two stables stood close together, with barely room for the pair of them to stand side by side between them. One man holding 50 at a narrow passage. Not a bad way to die. Songs have been made about less. "No need for that," Rand said, "I hope." A rooftop in the town exploded. "How am I going to get back in here? I have to reach her." Reach them? Shaking his head, he peeked around the corner again. The Shan-Chan were closer, still coming. "I never knew what he was going to do," Ingtar said softly, as if talking to himself. His sword out, testing the edge with his thumb. "A pale little man you didn't seem to really notice, even when you were looking at him. Take him inside Valdara, I was told. Inside the fortress. Did not want to, but I had to do it. You understand? I had to. I never knew what he intended until he shot that arrow. I still don't know if it was meant for the Amarlin or for you." And felt a chill. He stared at Ingtar. "What are you saying?" he whispered. Studying his blade, Ingtar did not seem to hear. "Humankind is being swept away everywhere. Nations fail and vanish. Dark friends are everywhere, and none of these Southlanders seem to notice or care. Fight to hold the borderlands, to keep them safe in their houses. And every year, despite all we can do, the blight advances. And these Southlanders think Trollocs are myths, and Myrddraal a gleeman's tale." Brownon shook his head. "It seemed the only way. We would be destroyed for nothing. defending people who did not even know or care. Seemed logical. Why should we be destroyed for them? We could make our own peace. Better the shadow, I thought, than useless oblivion. Like Caroline, or Hardin, or... It seemed so logical then. He grabbed Ingtar's lapels. You aren't making any sense. He can't mean what he's saying. He can't. Say it plain, whatever you mean. You're talking crazy.
I know.
First time Ingtar looked at Rand. His eyes shone with unshed tears. You are a better man than I. Shepherd or Lord. A better man. Prophecy says, let who sounds me think not of glory, but only salvation. It was my salvation I was thinking of. I would sound the horn and lead the heroes of the ages against Sheol Ghul. Surely that would have been enough to save me. No man can walk so long in the shadow that he cannot come again to the light, is what they say. Surely that would have been enough to wash away what I have been and done. Light, Ingtar. Rand released his hold on the other man and sagged back against the stable wall. I think wanting to is enough. All you have to do is stop being one of them. Ingtar flinched as if Rand had set it out. Dark friend. And when Baron brought us here with the portal stone, I lived other lives. Times I held the horn, but I never sounded it. I tried to escape what I'd become, but I never did. Always there was something else required of me. Always something worse than the last, until I was ready to give it up to save a friend. Think not of glory. Oh, light, help me. Did not know what to say. It was as if Egwene had told him she had murdered children. Too horrible to be believed. Too horrible for anyone to admit unless it was true. Horrible. After a time, Ingtar spoke again firmly. There has to be a price, Rand. There is always a price. Perhaps I can pay it here. Ingtar, It is every man's right, Rand, to choose when to sheathe the sword. Even one like me. Before Rand could say anything, Euron came running down the alley. The patrol turned aside, he said hurriedly. Down into the town. They seem to be gathering down there. Mat and Perrin went on. He took a quick look down the street and pulled back. We'd better do the same, Lord Rand, Lord Ingtar. Those bug-headed Seanchan are almost here. Go, Rand, Ingtar said. He turned to face the street and did not look at Rand or Huron again. Take the horn where it belongs. I always knew the Amyrlin should have given you the charge. But all I ever wanted was to keep Shinar whole. To keep us from being swept away and forgotten. I know, Ingtar. Rand drew a deep breath. The light shine on you, Lord Ingtar of House Shinoa, and may you shelter in the palm of the Creator's hand. Touched Ingtar's shoulder. The last embrace of the mother welcome you home. And gasped. Thank you, Ingtar said softly. Attention seemed to go out of him. For the first time since the night of the Trolloc raid on Fal Dara, he stood as he had when Rand first saw him, confident and relaxed. Content. Rand turned and found Huron staring at him, staring at both of them. It is time for us to go. Lord Ingtar does what he has to, Rand said sharply. But we go. Huron nodded, and Rand trotted after him. Rand could hear the steady tread of the Seanchan's boots now. He did not look back. Chapter 47.
These dogs are gonna be upset with me.
The grave is no bar to my call.
Come on.
And Perrin were mounted by the time Rand and Huron reached them.
Get up.
Far behind him, Rand heard Ingtar's voice rise. The light and Shinoa! The clash of steel joined the roar of other voices.
Give me 1 second, everyone. I'll be right
Where's
back.
Ingtar? Mat shouted. What's going on? He had the horn of Valir lashed to the high pommel of his saddle as if it were just any horn, but the dagger was in his belt, the ruby-tipped hilt, cupped protectively in a pale hand that seemed made of nothing but bone and sinew. He's dying, Rand said harshly as he swung onto Red's back. We have to help him, Perrin said. Matt can take the horn and the dagger onto... He is doing it so we can all get away, Rand said. With that, too. We will all take the horn to Varen, and then you can help her take it wherever she says it belongs. What do you mean? Perrin asked. Rand dug his heels into the bay's flanks, and Red leaped away toward the hills beyond the town. The light and Shinoa! Ingtar's shout soared after him, sounding triumphant, and lightning crashed across the sky in answer. And whipped Red with his reins, then lay against the stallion's neck as the bay laid out in a dead run, mane and tail streaming. He wished he did not feel as if he were running away from Ingtar's cry, running from what he was supposed to do. Ingtar, a dark friend. I don't care, he was still my friend. The bay's gallop could not take him away from his own thoughts. Death is lighter than a feather. Duty heavier than a mountain. So many duties. Egwene, the horn, Thane, Mat and his dagger. Why can't there just be one at a time? I have to take care of all of them. Oh, Light, Egwene! He reined in so suddenly that Red slid to a halt, sitting back on his haunches. They were in a scanty copse of bare-branched trees atop one of the hills overlooking Falma. The others galloped up behind him. Do you mean, Perrin demanded, we can help Varen take the horn where it's supposed to go? Where are you going to be? Maybe he's going mad already, Mat said. He wouldn't want to stay with us if he was going mad. Would you, Rand? 3 take the horn to Varen, Rand said. Egwene. So many threads in so much danger. So many duties. You do not need me. Mat caressed the dagger's hilt. That's all very well, but what about you? Burn me. You can't be going mad yet. You can't. Huron gaped at them, not understanding half of it. I'm going back, Rand said. I should never have left. Somehow, that did not sound exactly right in his own ears. It did not feel right inside his head. I have to go back. Now. That sounded better. Egwene is still there, remember? With one of those collars around her neck. Are you sure? Mat said. I never saw her.
Come on.
If you say she is there, then she's there.
There you go.
We'll all take the horn to Varen, and then we will all go back for her. You don't think I would leave her there, do you? And shook his head.
Hey, you
Threads,
behave.
duties. He felt as if he were about to explode like a firework. Light, what's happening to me? Mat, Varen must take you and that dagger to Tar Valon, so you can finally be free of it. You don't have any time to waste. Saving Egwene isn't wasting time. But Mat's hand had tightened on the dagger till it shook. We aren't any of us going back, Perrin said. Not yet. Look. Pointed back toward Falma. The wagon yards and horse lots were turning black with Shan-Chan soldiers.
And he's on the
Thousands of them rank on
big
rank,
old dog
with troops
bear.
of cavalry riding scaled beasts as well as armored men on horses, colorful gonfalons marking the officers. Grom dotted the ranks and other strange creatures, almost but not quite like monstrous birds and lizards, and great things like nothing he could describe, with gray wrinkled skin and huge tusks. At intervals along the lines stood Suldam and Damani by the score. Rand wondered if Egwene were one of them. In the town behind the soldiers, a rooftop still exploded now and again, and lightning still streaked the sky. 2 flying beasts with leathery wings, 20 spans tip to tip, soared high overhead,
it,
keeping well away from where the bright bolts danced.
You have
that
a good,
for us, Mat
good
said
morning.
incredulously. Who do they think we are? An answer came to Rand, but he shoved it away before it had a chance to form completely. Not going the other way either, Lord Rand, Huron said. White cloaks. Hundreds of them. Rand wheeled his horse to look where the sniffer was pointing. A long, white-cloaked line rippled slowly toward them across the hills. Rand, Huron muttered, if that lot lays an eye on the Horn of Valir, we'll never get it close to an Aes Sedai. We'll never get close to it again ourselves. Maybe that's why the Shan-Chan are gathering, Mat said hopefully. Because of the White Cloaks. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with us at all. Whether it does or not, Perrin said dryly, there is going to be a battle here in a few minutes. Either side could kill us, Huron said, even if they never see the horn. If they do, and could not manage to think about the White Cloaks or the Shanshan. I have to go back. Have to. He was staring at the Horn of Valir, he realized. They all were. The curled golden horn hung at Matt's pommel, the focus of every eye. It has to be there at the last battle, Matt said, licking his lips. Nothing says it can't be used before then. He pulled the horn free of its lashings and looked at them anxiously. Nothing says it can't. No one else said anything. Rand did not think he could speak. His own thoughts were too urgent to allow room for speech. Have to go back. Have to go back. The longer he looked at the horn, the more urgent his thoughts became. Have to. Have to. His hand shook as he raised the Horn of Valir to his lips. It was a clear note, golden as the horn was golden. The trees around them seemed to resonate with it, and the ground under their feet, the sky overhead. That one long sound encompassed everything. Out of nowhere, a fog began to rise. First thin wisps hanging in the air, then thicker billows, and thicker, until it blanketed the land like clouds. From Bornhold stiffened in his saddle as a sound filled the air. So sweet he wanted to laugh, so mournful he wanted to cry. It seemed to come from every direction at once. A mist began to rise, growing even as he watched. The Shanshan. They are trying something. They know we are here. It was too soon, the town too far, but he drew his sword. A clatter of scabbards ran down the rank of his half-legion and called, "The Legion will advance at a trot!" The fog covered everything now, but he knew Falma was still there, ahead. The pace of the horses picked up. He could not see them, but he could hear. Abruptly, the ground ahead flew up with a roar, showering him with dirt and pebbles. From the white blindness to his right, he heard another roar, and men and horses screamed. Then from his left, and again. Again. Thunder and screams hidden by the fog. "The Legion will charge!" His horse leaped forward as he dug in his heels, and he heard the roar as the Legion, as much of it as still lived, followed. Thunder and screams, wrapped in whiteness. His last thought was regret. Byre would not be able to tell his son Dane how he had died. He could not see the trees around them any longer. Matt had lowered the horn, eyes wide with awe, but the sound of it still rang in Rand's ears. The fog hid everything in rolling waves, as white as the finest bleached wool. Yet Rand could see. He could see, but it was mad. Falma floated somewhere beneath him, its landward border black with the Shanshan ranks, lightning ripping its streets. Falma hung over his head. There, White Cloaks charged and died as the earth opened in fire beneath their horses' hooves. There, men ran about the decks of tall, square ships in the harbor, and on one ship, a familiar ship, fearful men waited. He could even recognize the face of the captain, Bail Doman. He clutched his head with both hands. The trees were hidden, but he could still see each of the others clearly. Huron anxious, Matt muttering, fearful. Perrin looking as if he knew this was meant to be. The fog roiled up all around them. Huron gasped. "Lord Rand!" There was no need for him to point. Down the billowing fog, as if it were the side of a mountain, rode shapes on horses. At first, the dense mists hid more than that, but slowly they came closer, and it was Rand's turn to gasp. He knew them. Men, not all in armor, and women. Their clothes and their weapons came from every age, but he knew them all. Rogosh Eagle-Eye, a fatherly-looking man with white hair and eyes so sharp as to make his name merely a hint. Guy Dalkane, a swarthy man with the hilts of his two swords sticking above his broad shoulders. Golden-haired Brigitte, with her gleaming silver bow and quiver bristling with silver arrows. More. He knew their faces, knew their names. But he heard 100 names when he looked at each face, some so different he did not recognize them as names at all, though he knew they were. Michael instead of Mikko. Patrick instead of Pedrick. Oscar instead of Otaren. He knew the man who rode at their head, too. Tall and hook-nosed, with dark, deep-set eyes, his greatsword Justice at his side. Arthur Hawkwing. Matt gaped at them as they reined in before him and the others. Is this all of you? They were little more than 100, Rand saw, and realized that somehow he had known that they would be. Huron's mouth hung open. His eyes bulged almost out of his head.
Takes more than bravery to bind a man to the horn.
Arthur Hawkwing's voice was deep and carrying, a voice used to giving commands. Or a woman, Birgitta said sharply.
Or a woman,
Hawkwing agreed.
Only a few are bound to the wheel, spun out again and again to work the will of the wheel in the pattern of the ages. Could tell him, Lews Therin, could you but remember when you wore flesh.
He was looking at Rand. Rand shook his head, but he would not waste time with denials. Invaders have come. Men who call themselves Seanchan, who used chained Aes Sedai in battle. They must be driven back into the sea. And there's a girl, Egwene Alvear, a novice from the White Tower. The Seanchan have taken her prisoner. You must help me free her. To his surprise, several of the small host behind Arthur Hawkwing chuckled, and Birgitta, testing her bowstring, laughed. You always choose women who cause you trouble, Lews Therin. It had a fond sound, as between old friends. Name is Randall Thor, he snapped. You have to hurry. There isn't much time. Time? Birgitta said, smiling. We have all of time. Guidel Kane dropped his reins and, guiding his horse with his knees, drew a sword in either hand. All along the small band of heroes, there was an unsheathing of swords, an unlimbering of bows, a hefting of spears and axes. Justice shone like a mirror in Arthur Hawkwing's gauntleted fist.
I have fought by your side times beyond number, Lews Therin, and faced you as many more. The wheel spins us out for its purposes, not ours, to serve the pattern. I know you if you do not know yourself. We will drive these invaders out for you.
Warhorse pranced, and he looked around, frowning.
Something is wrong here. Something holds me.
Suddenly, he turned his sharp-eyed gaze on Rand.
You are here. Have you the banner?
A murmur ran through those behind him. Yes. Rand tore open the straps of his saddlebags and pulled out the dragon's banner. It filled his hands and hung almost to his stallion's knees. The murmur among the heroes rose.
The pattern weaves itself around our necks like halters,
Arthur Hawkwing said.
You are here. The banner is here. The weave of this moment is set. We have come to the horn, but we must follow the banner and the dragon.
Huron made a faint sound as if his throat had seized. Burn me, Matt breathed. It's true. Burn me. Perrin hesitated only an instant before swinging down off his horse and striding into the mist. There came a chopping sound, and when he returned, he carried a straight length of sapling shorn of its branches. Give it to me, Rand, he said gravely. If they need it, give it to me.
1 second.
Hastily, Rand helped him tie the banner to the pole. When Perrin remounted, pole in hand, a current of air seemed to ripple the pale length of the banner, so the serpentine dragon appeared to move alive. The wind did not touch the heavy fog, only the banner. You stay here, Rand told Huron. When it's over, be safe here. Huron drew his short sword, holding it as if it might actually be of some use from horseback. Begging your pardon, Lord Rand, but I think not. I don't understand the 10th part of what I've heard, or what I'm seeing. His voice dropped to a mutter before picking up again. But I've come this far, and I think I'll go the rest of the way. Arthur Hawkwing clapped the sniffer on the shoulder.
Sometimes the wheel adds to our number, friend. Perhaps you will find yourself among us one day.
Huron sat up as if he had been offered a crown. Hawkwing bowed formally from his saddle to Rand.
With your permission, Lord Rand. Trumpeter, will you give us music on the horn? Fitting that the Horn of Valere should sing us into battle. Bannerman, will you advance?
It sounded the horn again, long and high. The mists rang with it, and Perrin heeled his horse forward. Rand drew the heron-marked blade and rode between them. He could see nothing but thick billows of white, but somehow he could still see what he had before, too. Falma, where someone used the power in the streets, and the harbor, and the Shan-Chan host, and the dying White Cloaks. All of it beneath him. All of him hanging above. All of it just as it had been. It seemed as if no time at all had passed since the horn was first blown, as though time had paused while the heroes answered the call, and now resumed counting. Wild cries Matt wrung from the horn echoed in the fog, and the drumming of hooves as the horses picked up speed. Rand charged into the mists, wondering if he knew where he was headed. The clouds thickened, hiding the far ends of the rank of heroes galloping to either side of him, obscuring more and more till he could see only Matt and Perrin and Huron clearly. Huron crouched low in his saddle, wide-eyed, urging his horse on. Matt sounding the horn and laughing between. Perrin, his yellow eyes glowing, the dragon's banner streaming behind him. Then they were gone too, and Rand rode on alone as it seemed.
Right now.
In a way, he could still see them, but now it was the way he could see Falma and the Shan-Chan. He could not tell where they were or where he was. He tightened his grip on his sword, peered into the mists ahead. He charged alone through the fog, and somehow he knew that was how it was meant to be. Suddenly, Baalzamon was before him in the mists, throwing his arms wide. Red reared wildly, hurling Rand from his saddle. Rand clung to his sword desperately as he soared. It was not a hard landing. In fact, he thought with a sense of wonder that it was very much like landing on nothing at all. One instant he was sailing through the mists, and the next he was not. When he climbed to his feet, his horse was gone, but Baalzamon was still there, striding toward him with a long, black-charred staff in his hands. They were alone, only they and the rolling fog. Behind Baalzamon was shadow. The mist was not dark behind him. This blackness excluded the white fog. Rand was aware of other things, too. Arthur Hawkwing and the other heroes meeting the Shan-Chan in dense fog. Perrin with the banner, swinging his axe more to fend off those who tried to reach him than harm them. Matt still blowing wild notes on the Horn of Valere. Huron down from his saddle, fighting with short sword and swordbreaker in the way he knew. It seemed as if the Shan-Chan numbers would overwhelm them in one rush. Yet it was the dark-armored Shan-Chan who fell back. Rand went forward to meet Baalzamon. Reluctantly, he assumed the void, reached for the true source, was filled with the one power. Perhaps he had no chance against the Dark One, but whatever chance he did have lay in the power. It soaked into his limbs, seemed to suffuse everything about him, his clothes, his sword. He felt as if he should be glowing like the sun. It thrilled him. It made him want to vomit. "Out of my way," he grated. "I am not here for you." "The girl?" Baalzamon laughed. His mouth turned to flame. His burns were all but healed, leaving only a few pink scars that were already fading. He looked like a handsome man of middle years, except for his mouth and his eyes. "Which one, Lews Therin? You will not have anyone to help you this time. You are mine or you are dead. In which case, you are mine anyway." "Liar!" Rand snarled. He struck at Baalzamon, but the staff of charred wood turned his blade in a shower of sparks. "Father of lies! Fool! Did those other fools you summoned not tell you who you are?" The fires of Baalzamon's face roared with laughter. Even floating in emptiness, Rand felt a chill. Would they have lied? I don't want to be the Dragon Reborn. He firmed his grip on his sword, parting the silk, but Baalzamon beat every cut aside. Sparks flew as from a blacksmith's forge and hammer. "Business in Falma, and none with you. Never with you," Rand said. I have to hold his attention until they can free Egwene. In that odd way, he could see the battle rage among the fog-shrouded wagon yards and horse lots. "You pitiful wretch. You have sounded the Horn of Valere. You are linked to it now. Do you think the worms of the White Tower will ever release you now? They will put chains around your neck so heavy you will never cut them." Rand was surprised he felt it inside the void. He doesn't know everything. He doesn't know. was sure it must show on his face. To cover it, he rushed at Balsamon. Hummingbird kisses the honey rose, the moon on the water, the swallow rides the air.
Alright, that's
Lightning
it.
arched between sword and staff. Coruscating glitter showered the fog. Yet Balsamon fell back, his eyes blazing in furious furnaces. At the edge of his awareness, Rand saw the Seanchan falling back in the streets of Falma, fighting desperately. Damani tore the earth with the One Power, but it could not harm Archer Hawkwing, nor the other heroes of the Horn. You'll remain a slug beneath a rock, Balsamon snarled. The darkness behind him boiled and stirred. You kill yourself while we stand here. The power rages in you. It burns you. It's killing you. I alone in the world can teach you how to control it. Serve me and live. Serve me or die. Never. Have to hold him long enough. Hurry, Hawkwing, hurry. He launched himself at Balsamon again. The dove takes flight.
Come on.
The falling leaf. This time it was he who was driven back. Dimly he saw the Seanchan fighting their way back in among the stables. He redoubled his efforts. The Kingfisher takes a silverback. The Seanchan gave way to a charge, Archer Hawkwing and Perrin side by side in the van. Bundling straw. Balsamon caught his blow in a fountain like crimson fireflies, and he had to leap away before the staff split his head. The wind of the blow ruffled his hair. The Seanchan surged forward, striking the spark. Sparks flew like hail. Balsamon jumped from his stroke, and the Seanchan were driven back to the cobblestone streets. Rand wanted to howl aloud. Suddenly he knew that the two battles were linked. When he advanced, the heroes called by the Horn drove the Seanchan back. When he fell back, the Seanchan rose up. "We will not save you," Balsamon said. "Those who might save you will be carried far across the Arith Ocean. If ever you see them again, they will be collared slaves, and they will destroy you for their new masters." Egwene, I can't let them do that to her. Balsamon's voice rode over his thoughts. "I've only one salvation, Randolphor, Lews Therin Kinslayer. I am your only salvation. Serve me, and I will give you the world. Resist, and I will destroy you as I have so often before. But this time, I will destroy you to your very soul. Destroy you utterly and forever." I have won again, Lews Therin. The thought was beyond the void, yet it took an effort to ignore it, not to think of all the lives where he had hurt it. He shifted his sword, and Balsamon readied his staff. First time, Rand realized that Balsamon acted as if the heron-marked blade could harm him. Steel can't hurt the Dark One. But Balsamon watched the sword warily. Rand was one with the sword. He could feel every particle of it, tiny bits 1,000 times too small to be seen with the eye. And he could feel the power that suffused him running into the sword as well, threading through the intricate matrices wrought by Aes Sedai during the Trolloc Wars. Was another voice he heard then. Lan's voice. "There will come a time when you want something more than you want life." Ingtar's voice. "It is every man's right to choose when to sheathe the sword." Picture formed of Egwene, collared, living her life as a Damani. Threads of my life in danger. Egwene. If Hawkwing gets into Falma, he can save her. Before he knew it, he had taken the first position of heron waiting in the rushes. Balanced on one foot, sword raised high. Open and defenseless.
Oh, it's rumbling
Death is
out
lighter
there.
than a feather. Duty heavier than a mountain. Balsamon stared at him. "Why are you grinning like an idiot, fool? Do you not know I can destroy you utterly?" Rand felt a calmness beyond that of the void. "Will never serve you, father of lies. In 1,000 lives I never have. I know that. I'm sure of it. Come. It is time to die." Balsamon's eyes widened. For an instant, they were furnaces that put sweat on Rand's face. The blackness behind Balsamon boiled up around him, and his face hardened. "And die, worm!" He struck with the staff as with a spear. Rand screamed as he felt it pierce his side, burning like a white-hot poker. The void trembled, but he held on with the last of his strength and drove the heron-marked blade into Baalzaman's heart. Baalzaman screamed, and the dark behind him screamed. The world exploded in fire.
Chapter 48. First Claiming. Men struggled up the cobblestone street, pushing through crowds that stood white-faced and staring, those who were not screaming hysterically. A few ran, seemingly without any idea of where they were running, but most moved like poorly handled puppets, more afraid to go than to stay. She searched the faces, hoping to find Egwene or Elaine or Nynaeve, but all she saw were Falman. And there was something drawing her on, as surely as if she had a string tied to her. Once she turned to look back. Shan-Chan's ships burned in the harbor, and she could see more in flames off the harbor mouth. Many squarish vessels were already small against the setting sun, sailing west as fast as Damani could make the winds drive them, and one small ship was beating away from the harbor, tilting to catch a wind to take it along the coast. Spray. She did not blame Baal Domon for not waiting longer, not after what he had seen. She thought it a wonder he had remained so long. There was one Shan-Chan vessel in the harbor not burning, though its towers were black from fires already extinguished. As the tall ship crept toward the harbor mouth, a figure on horseback suddenly appeared around the cliffs skirting the harbor. Riding across the water, Min's mouth fell open. Silver glittered as the figure raised a bow. A streak of silver lanced the boxy ship, a gleaming line connecting bow and ship. With a roar she could hear even at that distance, fire engulfed the foretower anew, and sailors rushed about the deck. Min blinked, and when she looked again, the mounted figure was gone. The ship still slowly made way toward the ocean, the crew fighting the flames. She gave herself a shake and started to climb the street again. She had seen too much that day for someone riding a horse across water to be more than a momentary distraction. Even if it really was Birgitta and her bow, and Arthur Hawkwing. I did see him. I did. In front of one of the tall stone buildings, she stopped uncertainly, ignoring the people who brushed past her as if stunned. It was in there somewhere that she had to go. She rushed up the stairs and pushed open the door. No one tried to stop her. As far as she could tell, there was no one in the house. Most of Falma was out in the streets, trying to decide whether they had all gone mad together. She went on through the house, into the garden behind, and there he was. Rand lay sprawled on his back under an oak, face pale and eyes closed, left hand gripping a hilt that ended in a foot of blade that appeared to have been melted at the end. His chest rose and fell too slowly, and not with the regular rhythm of someone breathing normally. Taking a deep breath to calm herself, she went to see what she could do for him. First was to get rid of that stub of a blade. He could hurt himself, or her, if he started thrashing. She pried his hand open and winced when the hilt stuck to his palm. She tossed it aside with a grimace. The heron on the hilt had branded itself into his hand, but it was obvious to her that that was not what had him lying there unconscious. How did he come by that? Nynaeve can put a salve on it later. A hasty examination showed that most of his cuts and bruises were not new. At least the blood had had time to dry in a crust, and the bruises had started to turn yellow at the edges. But there was a hole burned through his coat on the left side. Opening his coat, she pulled up his shirt. Breath whistled through her teeth. There was a wound burned into his side, but it had cauterized itself. What shook her was the feel of his flesh. It had a touch of ice in it. He made the air seem warm. Grabbing his shoulders, she began to drag him toward the house. He hung limp, a dead weight. "Great lummox," she grunted. "You couldn't be short and light, could you? You have to have all that leg and shoulder. I ought to let you lie out here." But she struggled up the steps, careful not to bump him any more than she could avoid, and pulled him inside. Leaving him just within the door, she knuckled the small of her back, muttering to herself about the pattern, and made a hasty search. There was a small bedroom in the back of the house, perhaps a servant's room, with a bed piled high with blankets and logs already laid on the hearth. In moments she had the blankets thrown back and the fire lit, as well as a lamp on the bedside table. Then she went back for Rand. It was no small task getting him to the room or up onto the bed, but she managed it with only a little hard breathing and covered him up. After a moment she stuck a hand under the blankets. She winced and shook her head. The sheets were icy cold. He had no body warmth for the blankets to hold. With a put-upon sigh, she wriggled under the covers beside him. Finally, she put his head on her arm. His eyes were still closed, his breathing ragged, but she thought he would be dead by the time she came back if she left to find Nynaeve. He needs an Aes Sedai, she thought. All I can do is try to give him a little warmth. For a time, she studied his face. It was only his face she saw. She could never read anyone who was not conscious. I like older men, she told him. I like men with education and wit. I have no interest in farms or sheep or shepherds, especially boy shepherds. With a sigh, she smoothed back the hair from his face. He had silky hair. But then, you aren't a shepherd, are you? Not anymore. Light. Why did the pattern have to catch me up with you? Why couldn't I have something safe and simple, like being shipwrecked with no food and a dozen hungry Aiel men? There was a sound in the hall, and she raised her head as the door opened. Egwene stood there, staring at them by the light of the fire and the lamp. "Oh," was all she said. Min's cheeks colored. "Why am I behaving like I've done something wrong, fool? I'm keeping him warm. He is unconscious, and he's as cold as ice." Egwene did not come any further into the room. I felt him pulling at me, needing me. Elaine felt it too. I thought it must be something to do with what he is, but Nynaeve didn't feel anything. She drew a deep, unsteady breath. "Elaine and Nynaeve are getting the horses. We found Bella. The Shan-Chan left most of their horses behind. Nynaeve says we should go as soon as we can, and... Min, you know what he is, don't you, now?" "I know." Min wanted to take her arm from under Rand's head, but she could not make herself move. "I think I do, anyway. Whatever he is hurt. I can do nothing for him except keep him warm. Maybe Nynaeve can. Min, you do know that he cannot marry. He isn't safe for any of us, Min." "Speak for yourself," Min said. She pulled Rand's face against her breast. "It's like Elaine said. You tossed him aside for the White Tower. What should you care if I pick him up?" Egwene looked at her for what seemed a long time. Not at Rand, not at all, only at her. She felt her face growing hotter and wanted to look away, but she could not. "We'll bring Nynaeve," Egwene said finally, and walked out of the room with her back straight and her head high. Min wanted to call out, to go after her, but she lay there as if frozen. Frustrated tears stung her eyes. "It's what has to be. I know it. I read it in all of them. Light, I don't want to be part of this." "It's all your fault," she told Rand's still shape. "No, it isn't. But you will pay for it, I think. We're all caught like flies in a spider web. What if I told her there's another woman yet to come, one she doesn't even know? For that matter, what would you think of that, my fine Lord Shepherd? You aren't bad-looking at all, but... Light, I don't even know if I'm the one you'll choose. I don't know if I want you to choose me. Or will you try to dandle all three of us on your knee? It may not be your fault, Rand al'Thor, but it isn't fair." "Not Rand al'Thor," said a musical voice from the door. "Lews Therin Telamon, the dragon reborn." Min stared. She was the most beautiful woman Min had ever seen, with pale, smooth skin and long black hair, and eyes as dark as night. Her dress was a white that would make snow seem dingy, belted in silver. All her jewelry was silver. Min felt herself bristle. "What do you mean? Who are you? Woman came to stand over the bed. Her movements were so graceful, Min felt a stab of envy, though she had never before envied any woman anything, and smoothed Rand's hair as if Min were not there. He doesn't believe yet, I think. He knows, but he does not believe. I have guided his steps, pushed him, pulled him. He was always stubborn, but this time I will shape him. Ishamael thinks he controls events, but I do. Her finger brushed Rand's forehead as if drawing a mark. Min thought uneasily that it looked like the dragon's fang. Rand stirred, murmuring, the first sound or movement he had made since she found him. "Who are you?" Min demanded. The woman looked at her, only looked, but she found herself shrinking back into the pillows, clutching Rand to her fiercely. "I am called Lanfear, girl." Min's mouth was abruptly so dry she could not have spoken if her life depended on it. "One of the Forsaken? No! Light, no!" All she could do was shake her head. The denial made Lanfear smile. "Luz Theron was and is mine, girl. Tend him well for me until I come for him." And she was gone. Min gaped. One moment she was there, then she was gone. Min discovered she was hugging Rand's unconscious form tightly. She wished she did not feel as if she wanted him to protect her.
Gaunt face set with grim purpose, Bayar galloped with the sinking sun behind him and never looked back. He had seen all he needed to, all he could with that accursed fog. The Legion was dead, Lord Captain Geoffrey Bornhald was dead, and there was only one explanation for that. Dark friends had betrayed them. Dark friends like that Perrin of the Two Rivers. That word he had to carry to Dane Bornhald, the Lord Captain's son, with the Children of the Light watching Tar Valon. He had worse to tell, and to none less than Pedron Niall himself. He had to tell what he had seen in the sky above Falma. He flogged his horse with his reins and never looked back. Chapter 49. What was meant to be. And opened his eyes and found himself staring up at sunlight slanting through the branches of a leather leaf, its broad, tough leaves still green despite the time of year. The wind stirring the leaves carried a hint of snow come
He could be
nightfall.
upset with me again.
He lay on his back and he could feel blankets covering him under his hands. His coat and shirt seemed to be gone, but something was binding his chest, and his left side hurt.
Come on. I gotta get
Turned
up.
his head, and Min was sitting there on the ground watching him. He almost did not know her, wearing skirts. She smiled uncertainly. "Min, it is you. Where did you come from? Where are we?"
I'll be right back.
Memory came in flashes and patches. Old things he could remember, but the last few days seemed like bits of broken mirror, spinning through his mind, showing glimpses that were gone before he could see them clearly. "From Falma," she said. "We're 5 days east of there now, and you've been asleep all that time." Falma. More memory. Matt had blown the horn of Valir. "Egwene, is she... Did they free her?" He held his breath. "I don't know what they you mean, but she's free. We freed her ourselves." "We? I don't understand." "She's free. At least she is. Nynaeve and Elaine and me." "Nynaeve? Elaine? How? You were all in Falma?" He struggled to sit up, but she pushed him back down easily and stayed there, hands on his shoulders, eyes intent on his face. "Where is she?" "Gone." Min's face colored. "They're all gone. Egwene and Nynaeve and Matt and Huron and Varen. Huron didn't want to leave you, really. They're on their way to Tar Valon. Egwene got that dagger. They took the Horn of Valir with them. I can't believe I actually saw it."
Stop.
"On," he muttered. "She didn't even wait till I woke up." The red in Min's cheeks deepened, and she sat back, staring at her lap. Raised his hands to run them over his face and stopped, staring at his palms in shock. There was a heron branded across his left palm, too, now, to match the one on his right. Every line clean and true. It's the heron to set his path. Twice the heron to name him true. No! They are gone, she said. Saying no won't change it. He shook his head. Something told him the pain in his side was important. He could not remember being injured, but it was important. He started to lift his blankets to look, but she slapped his hands away. You can't do any good with that. It isn't healed all the way yet. Varen tried healing, but she said it didn't work the way it should. She hesitated, nibbling her lip. Moraine says Nynaeve must have done something, or you wouldn't have lived till we carried you to Varen.
There you go.
But Nynaeve says she was too frightened to light a candle. There is something wrong with your wound. You will have to wait for it to heal naturally. She seemed troubled. Moraine is here. He barked a bitter laugh. When you said Varen was gone, I thought I was free of Aes Sedai again. I am here,
No.
Moraine said. She appeared all in blue and as serene as if she stood in the White Tower, strolling up to stand over him. Min was frowning at the Aes Sedai. Rand had the odd feeling that she meant to protect him from Moraine. I wish you weren't here, he told the Aes Sedai. As far as I am concerned, you can go back to wherever you've been hiding and stay there. I've not been hiding, Moraine said calmly. I have been doing what I could, here on Toman Head, and in Falma.
There you go.
It was little enough,
Well,
though
you
I learned much.
cooperate a little bit.
I failed to rescue 2 of my sisters before the Shamchan herded them onto the ships with the leashed ones. But I did what I could. What you could? You sent Varen to shepherd me, but I'm no sheep, Moraine. You said I could go where I wanted, and I mean to go where you are not. I did not send Varen, Moraine frowned. She did that on her own. You are of interest to a great many people, Rand. Did Fane find you, or you him? The sudden change of topic took him by surprise. Fane? No. A fine hero I make. I tried to rescue Egwene, and Min did it before me. Fane said he would hurt Emond's Field if I didn't face him, and I never laid eyes on him. Go with the Shamchan too? Moraine shook her head. I do not know. I wish I did. It is as well you did not find him. Not until you know what he is, at least. He's a dark friend. More than that. Worse than that. Padan Fane was the Dark One's creature to the depths of his soul. But I believe that in Shadar Logoth he fell afoul of Mordeth, who was as vile in fighting the Shadow as ever the Shadow itself was. Mordeth tried to consume Fane's soul, to have a human body again, but found a soul that had been touched directly by the Dark One. And what resulted? What resulted was neither Padan Fane nor Mordeth, but something far more evil, a blend of the two. Fane, let us call him that, is more dangerous than you can believe. Might not have survived such a meeting, and if you had, you might have been worse than turned to the Shadow. He is alive. If he did not go with the Shamchan, I have to... He cut off as she produced his heron-marked sword from under her cloak. The blade ended abruptly, a foot from the hilt, as if it had been melted. Memory came rushing back. Killed him, he said softly. This time I killed him. Moraine put the ruined sword aside like the useless thing it now was, and wiped her hands together. The Dark One is not slain so easily. The mere fact that he appeared in the sky above Falma is more than merely troubling. He should not be able to do that if he is bound as we believe. And if he is not, why has he not destroyed us all? Min stirred uneasily. The sky, Rand said in wonder. Both of you, Moraine said.
No what?
Your battle took place across the sky in full view of every
No
soul
volume?
in Falma. Perhaps in other towns on Toman Head, too, if half what I hear is to be believed.
You might have to go back and come
we all saw
back,
it,
because I got
Min said in a
volume on
faint
mine.
voice. She put a hand over one of Rand's comfortingly. Moraine reached under her cloak again and came out with a rolled parchment, one of the large sheets such as the street artists in Falma used. The chalks were a little smudged when she unfurled it, but the picture was still clear enough. A man whose face was a solid flame fought with his staff against another with a sword
That's
among
what I
clouds
could
where
think
lightning
of.
danced,
I got
and behind them rippled the
volume on
dragon
mine and
banner.
I'm watching it.
Rand's face was easily recognizable. Many have seen that, he demanded. Tear it up! Burn it! The Aes Sedai let the parchment roll back up. It would do no good, Rand. I bought that 2 days gone, in a village we passed through. There are hundreds of them, perhaps thousands, and the tale is being told everywhere of how the dragon battled the Dark One in the skies above Falma. Rand looked at Min. She nodded reluctantly and squeezed his hand. She looked frightened, but she did not flinch away. I wonder if that's why Egwene left. She was right to leave. The pattern weaves itself around you even more tightly, Moraine said. You need me now more than ever. I don't need you, he said harshly, and I don't want you. I will not have anything to do with this. Remembered being called Lews Therin. Not only by Baalzamon, but by Arthur Hawkwing. I won't. Light, the dragon is supposed to break the world again, to tear everything apart. I will not be the dragon. You are what you are, Moraine said. Already you stir the world. The Black Ajah has revealed itself for the first time in 2,000 years. Arad Doman and Taraban are on the brink of war,
Hey,
and it will be worse when
clear it
news
out.
of Falma reaches
That's just
them.
your reflection.
Kyrian is in civil war. Nothing in Kyrian, he protested. You can't blame that on me. Doing nothing was always a ploy in the great game, she said with a sigh. And especially as they play it now. You were the spark, and Kyrian exploded like an illuminator's firework. What do you think will happen when word of Falma reaches Arad Doman and Taraban? There have always been men willing to proclaim for any man who called himself the dragon. But they have never before had such signs as this. There is more. Here. She tossed a pouch on his chest. He hesitated a moment before opening it. Within lay shards of what seemed to be black and white glazed pottery. He had seen their like before. Another seal on the Dark One's prison, he mumbled. Min gasped. Her grip on his hand sought comfort now, rather than offering it. 2, Moraine said. 3 of the 7 are broken now. The one I had, and 2 I found in the High Lord's dwelling in Falma. When all 7 are broken, perhaps even before, the patch men put over the hole they drilled into the prison the Creator made will be torn asunder, and the Dark One will once more be able to put his hand through that hole and touch the world. And the only hope of the world is that the dragon reborn will be there to face him. He tried to stop Rand from throwing back the blankets, but he pushed her gently
Can
aside.
you hear anything yet?
I need to walk.
Fire? Or is it
She helped
still
him
no
up.
volume for you?
But with a great many sighs and grumbles about him making his wound worse. He discovered that his chest was wrapped round with bandages. Min draped one of the blankets about his shoulders like a cloak. A moment he stood staring down at the heron-marked sword, what was left of it, lying on the ground. Damn sword. My father's sword. Reluctantly, more reluctantly than he had ever done anything in his life, he let go of the hope that he would discover Tam really was his father. It felt as if he were tearing his heart out. But it did not change the way he felt about Tam, and Emmons Field was the only home he had ever known. He is the important thing. I have one duty left. Stopping him. 2 women had to support him, one on either arm, down to where the campfires were already burning, not far from a road of hard-packed dirt. Loyal was there, reading a book, To Sail Beyond the Sunset, and Perrin staring into one of the fires. The Shinarans were making preparations for their evening meal. Lan sat under a tree, sharpening his sword. The warder gave Rand a careful look, then a nod. There was something else, too. The dragon banner rippled in the wind over the middle of the camp. Somewhere they had found a proper staff to replace Perrin's sapling. Rand demanded, What is that doing out where anybody who passes by can see it? It is too late to hide, Rand, Moraine said. It was always too late for you to hide. I have to put up a sign saying, "Here I am," either. I'll never find Fane if somebody kills me because of that banner. He turned to Loyal and Perrin. I'm glad you stayed. I would have understood if you hadn't.
Why would I not stay? Loyal said. You are even more Ta'Viran than I believed, true, but you are still my friend. I hope you are still my friend.
The ears twitched uncertainly. I am, Rand said. For as long as it's safe for you to be around me, you're too. The Ogier's grin nearly split his face in two. I'm staying as well, Perrin said. There was a note of resignation or acceptance in his voice. The wheel weaves us tight in the pattern, Rand. Who would have thought it back in Emond's Field? The Shienarans were gathering around. To Rand's surprise, they all fell to their knees. Every one of them watched him. We pledge ourselves to you, Uno said. The others kneeling with him nodded. Your oaths are to Ingtar and Lord Agelmar, Rand protested. Ingtar died well, Uno. He died so the rest of us could escape with the horn. There was no need to tell them, or anyone else, the rest. He hoped that Ingtar had found the light again. Tell Lord Agelmar that when you return to Faldara. It is said, the one-eyed man said carefully, that when the dragon is reborn, he will break all oaths, shatter all ties. Nothing holds us now. We would give our oaths to you. He drew his sword and laid it before him, hilt toward Rand, and the rest of the Shienarans did the same. You battled the Dark One, Masema said. Masema, who hated him. Masema, who looked at him as if seeing a vision of the light. I saw you, Lord Dragon. I saw. I am your man to the death. His dark eyes shone with fervor. You must choose, Rand, Moraine said. The world will be broken whether you break it or not. Tarman Gaden will come, and that alone will tear the world apart. Will you still try to hide from what you are, and leave the world to face the last battle undefended? Choose. They were all watching him, all waiting. His lighter than a feather, duty heavier than a mountain. He made his decision.
Chapter 50. After. By ship and horse the stories spread, by merchant wagon and man on foot, told and retold, changing yet always alike at the heart, to Arad Doman and Tarabon and beyond, of signs and portents in the sky above Falma. And men proclaimed themselves for the dragon, and other men struck them down and were struck down in turn. Other tales spread of a column that rode from the sinking sun across Almouth Plain. 100 bordermen, it was said, no, 1,000. No, 1,000 heroes come back from the grave to answer the call of the Horn of Valir. 10,000. They had destroyed a legion of the Children of the Light in Tyre. They had thrown Arthur Hawkwing's returned armies back into the sea. They were Arthur Hawkwing's armies returned. Toward the mountains they rode, toward the dawn. Yet one thing every tale had the same. At their head rode a man whose face had been seen in the sky above Falma, and they rode under the banner of the Dragon Reborn. And men cried.
Tomorrow we'll be starting book 2, or book 3 of it. We'll be starting The Great Hunt. Let's see what to put on till then. And tomorrow I should be back at my house because my mom's coming back to tomorrow.
In the handcuff. This is Audible. Audible Frontiers presents Homeland, written by R.A. Salvatore, narrated by Victor Bavine. Prelude. Never does a star grace this land with a poet's light of twinkling mysteries, nor does the sun send to here its rays of warmth and life. This is the Underdark, the secret world beneath the bustling surface of the Forgotten Realms, whose sky is a ceiling of heartless stone, and whose walls show the gray blandness of death in the torchlight of the foolish surface dwellers that stumble here. This is not their world, not the world of light. Most who come here uninvited do not return. Those who do escape to the safety of their surface homes return changed. Their eyes have seen the shadows and the gloom, the inevitable doom of the Underdark. Dark corridors meander throughout the dark realm in winding courses, connecting caverns great and small with ceilings high and low. Mounds of stone as pointed as the teeth of a sleeping dragon leer down in silent threat, or rise up to block the way of intruders. There is a silence here, profound and foreboding, the crouched hush of a predator at work. Too often the only sound, the only reminder to travelers in the Underdark that they have not lost their sense of hearing altogether, is a distant and echoing drip of water, beating like the heart of a beast, slipping through the silent stones to the deep Underdark pools of chilled water. What lies beneath the still onyx surface of these pools, one can only guess. What secrets await the brave, what horrors await the foolish, only the imagination can reveal, until the stillness is disturbed. This is the Underdark. There are pockets of life here, cities as great as many of those on the surface. Around any of the countless bends and turns in the gray stone, a traveler might stumble suddenly into the perimeter of such a city, a stark contrast to the emptiness of the corridors. These places are not havens, though. Only the foolish traveler would assume so. They are the homes of the most evil races in all the realms, most notably the Duergar, the Kuo-toa, and the Drow. In one such cavern, 2 miles wide and 1,000 feet high, looms Menzoberranzan, a monument to the otherworldly and, ultimately, deadly grace that marks the race of Drow elves. Menzoberranzan is not a large city by Drow standards. Only 20,000 dark elves reside there, where, in ages past, there had been an empty cavern of roughly shaped stalactites and stalagmites, now stands artistry. Row after row of carved castles thrumming in a quiet glow of magic. The city is a perfection of form, where not a stone has been left to its natural shape. This sense of order and control, however, is but a cruel facade, a deception hiding the chaos and vileness that rule the dark elves' hearts. Like their cities, they are a beautiful, slender, and delicate people, with features sharp and haunting. Yet the Drow are the rulers of this unruled world, the deadliest of the deadly, and all other races take cautious note of their passing. Beauty itself pales at the end of a dark elf sword. The Drow are the survivors, and this is the Underdark, the Valley of Death, the land of nameless nightmares. 1. Station. Station. In all the world of the Drow, there is no more important word. It is the calling of our religion, the incessant pulling of hungering heartstrings. Ambition overrides good sense, and compassion is thrown away in its face, all in the name of Lolth, the Spider Queen. Ascension to power in Drow society is a simple process of assassination. The Spider Queen is a deity of chaos, and she and her high priestesses, the true rulers of the Drow world, do not look with ill favor upon ambitious individuals wielding poisoned daggers. Of course, there are rules of behavior. Every society must boast of these. To openly commit murder or wage war invites the pretense of justice, and penalties exacted in the name of Drow justice are merciless. To stick a dagger in the back of a rival during the chaos of a larger battle, or in the quiet shadows of an alley, however, is quite acceptable, even applauded. Investigation is not the forte of Drow justice. No one cares enough to bother. Station is the way of Lolth, the ambition she bestows to further the chaos, to keep her Drow children along their appointed course of self-imprisonment. Children? Pawns, more likely, dancing dolls for the Spider Queen, puppets on the imperceptible but impervious strands of her web. All climb the Spider Queen's ladders. All hunt for her pleasure, and all fall to the hunters of her pleasure. Station is the paradox of the world of my people, the limitation of our power within the hunger for power. It is gained through treachery, and invites treachery against those who gain it. Those most powerful in Menzoberranzan spend their days watching over their shoulders, defending against the daggers that would find their backs. Their deaths usually come from the front. Is Do'Urden. 1. Menzoberranzan. A surface dweller. He might have passed undetected only a foot away. The padded footfalls of his lizard mount were too light to be heard, and the pliable and perfectly crafted mesh armor that both rider and mount wore bent and creased with their movements, as well as if the suits had grown over their skin. Dinan's lizard trotted along in an easy but swift gait, floating over the broken floor, up the walls, and even across the long tunnel's ceiling. Subterranean lizards, with their sticky and soft three-toed feet, were preferred mounts for just this ability to scale stone as easily as a spider. Crossing hard ground left no damning tracks in the lighted surface world, but nearly all of the creatures of the Underdark possessed infravision, the ability to see in the infrared spectrum. Footfalls left heat residue that could easily be tracked if they followed a predictable course along a corridor's floor. Dinan clamped tight to his saddle as the